Welcome to the Recon Trader. In today's video, I will share with you some tactical analysis over on the Bitcoin charts where Bitcoin is currently pumping, but you do want to proceed with caution as this could just be a huge bull trap. So with that being said, let's get right to the charts. And we will start over here today on the 1 week chart. Now, we had been watching over the last several weeks Bitcoin attempting to get above the EMA ribbon, which would be a very bullish signal. However, it was rejected multiple times, even with big wicks up into the ribbons, only to sell back off. Now, the weekly candle that just recently closed, technically yesterday, today being Monday, did close well above the EMA ribbon, and so this could be a very bullish signal, similar to what we saw back here after Bitcoin sold off last summer all the way back down to 28.8. It did eventually get back above the ribbon. However, it did end up being a small bull trap where it did sell off back down to around 39.6. only to recover and eventually set an all-time new high. So, with that in mind, you do want to proceed with caution as we could see Bitcoin's price move up into, say, around the 52,000 range, which would be this resistance level here. Also, if we look back and check our 6, you can see that's around the same level, that 52,000 level. That acted as resistance for this particular pullback. And so once again, if we see similar price action to what we saw back here, we could see Bitcoin's price move up to around the 52,000 level. And then if this move ends up being just one giant bull trap, we could then see that trap snap shut and the price pull back down to around 40,000 or 39,000. Or even lower back into this area, which is around your 37.5, and that was obviously pretty strong previous support. So with that all being said, that is one reason to proceed with caution with this move. There is definitely potential for more upside currently on this move, which would bring us up into, again, around that 52,000 level. However, at any point in time, the bull trap could snap shut and we could see a pretty big pullback. And with that being said, if I jump over here to the Bitcoin CME futures chart, it's the daily chart for the CME futures for Bitcoin. You can see the gap up on today's candle, and it is not unusual to see these gaps get filled. You can see the two circles I have highlighted here where we get a gap up. Eventually that gap gets filled with a pullback. And on the next gap up over here, you can see pretty much immediately that gets filled. And so once again, we could see this gap up and then get that gap filled with a pullback, like I mentioned, back to perhaps around 40,000, which could be support that we saw back in this area if we're looking at the Bitcoin CME futures. And with that being said, we'll jump over here to the options that are about to expire. And if we look at the options that will be expiring on Friday of this week, today's only Monday, we can see a lot more weight over here for the calls at 21 million versus the puts, which would be bearish, have only about 500,000 on the line. And right now, the 46,000 strike price does have around 3 million in calls and 0 in puts. The next strike price, which is 45,000, has around 2 million piled up there. And if we look back a little further at the 42,000 strike price, there's actually 11 million worth of calls piled up at that level. Now, this will change throughout the week as people start to execute their calls or their puts. So you'll want to keep an eye on it. But what you can really use this intel for is bulls versus bears, and right now obviously is pretty bullish. And with that being said, if you look at the monthly expiration, which would be April 29th, there's 38 million for calls versus 6.5 million for puts. And so with that being said, April could end up being a fairly bullish month. Now, jumping back over here to the weekly chart for Bitcoin and dropping in my Fibonacci levels, one level we were keeping an eye on was the 786 level, which is the blue line running through the chart here, and that was at around 37.4, and that was acting as pretty strong support. And then on the flip side, towards the top side, we were watching the 618 level, which was right around 44,000. And I was also keeping an eye on kind of the 45.5 level, which is the yellow line running through here, as that was prior support and had flipped into kind of a resistance level. And so I really wanted to see Bitcoin's price get above the 45.5 level and close above. And the weekly candle closed yesterday above that 45.5 level. And so again, that was a bullish close. We closed above the ribbons. We've now closed above the 618 and more importantly, that 45.5 level. And so now I would look for these levels to actually act as support, 45.5 and definitely 44,000. If those levels fail, then we could see that sell-off back down to that 786 level, which is 37.4. Now, I do think we have enough price action that I can drop in some updated fib levels. The current fib levels are still really valid. I was basically going from the low of 28.8 to the all-time high of 69,000. I am actually going to now swing from the low of 32.9 up to the all-time new high. So let's delete out the old. I'll grab my Fibonacci extension and swing low to high. And now these updated levels do fall a little more in line with some targets that we would be looking at. So right now, with Bitcoin's price moving up, one of the targets I'd be looking at, again, is that 50% level, and that's coming in at just about 51,000, which if you take a look at the orange line running through the chart here for that 50% Fibonacci level, that was pretty strong previous resistance along with the 52,000 level that I have dropped in with the yellow line. And so the next obstacle for Bitcoin's price on the top side is going to be that 51,000 to 52,000. After that, then we're looking up at the 382, which is going to put us right around 55,000. And then after that, we're looking up at 60,000, but that's getting way ahead of ourselves. I think we really need to focus on the 51 to 52,000 level. And at that level, we will find out whether or not this is just one big bull trap or if Bitcoin will continue to pump towards the top side. Now, the key levels I'll be watching. The first level is obviously going to be the 618 level, which is 46,700. Look for that to be support. If that line fails to hold, the next level is going to be 45.5. That's kind of a zone I want to see Bitcoin stay above. If Bitcoin's price goes below 45.5, then we could see a sell-off back down towards the 786, which is now around 40,600. And with that being said, I really look at zones rather than lines. And so the 40,006 to the 39.6, which again was the bottom of this dump, would be the zone I would look for Bitcoin to stay above. And then worst case, we'd be looking back at around 37.6. Now, towards the top side, really the first obstacle is going to be 51 to 52,000. After that, we're looking at 55,000. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Bitcoin is pumping, but you do want to proceed with caution. If anything changes on the charts dramatically, I will do an update video, so you might want to shoot that subscribe button so you don't miss the update videos. If you like this video, do me a favor, spike a like. If you have questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. And remember, never send your money into battle without first doing your recon. See you in the next video.